Hello, my name is Brian Munoz. I am the editor-in-chief at the Daily Egyptian. We are an online daily, weekly print newspaper at Southern Illinois University. Some quick background on myself. Before becoming the editor-in-chief, I was the director of photography at the paper and then an investigative reporter. So before I really delve into this, I need to give you some background on Southern. We are in Carbondale, Illinois, which I assure you probably nobody knows where that is. So I've added a map. We're about 2 hours south of St. Louis, 6.5 hours south of Chicago. Nestled in rural Southern Illinois. We have a student enrollment about 10,000 students. The region as a whole historically voted on the conservative side. So just things to keep in mind. So in the fall of 2017, we were at the height of Colin Kaepernick's protest against police brutality. He had chosen to take a knee. So we're going in and we are covering just kind of our football season. First game happens. Then we get word after that there was a player that had wanted to kneel during the anthem in solidarity with Kaepernick, but he was told not to. So kept an eye out. I'm the photographer for the game. And the following game, 3 African-American cheerleaders decide to kneel during the anthem. People are screaming at them to stand up, etc. So I take the picture, our sports editor reports on it, and we move forward with it. And then they start getting threats on social media after we publish a story that they had received death threats and rape threats, and all these things had kind of come to a boil as we went through that. And then they were conveniently relocated from their prominent spot on the field to elsewhere where people couldn't see them. So people started questioning, where are the cheerleaders, and then they met with the chancellor and they raised their concerns. Hey, you guys have moved us. What's going on? And Ray Goldsmith, the university spokeswoman, had said that the chancellor and athletics had come to an agreement that they would move all of the spirit teams to the front entrances of athletics events to greet fans and create a better fan experience. Then this was later quoted at the commercial paper, the Southern Illinoisan, also reported on this, that Tommy Bell, the at the time athletic director, claimed it was a consultant's review that had basically nudged them towards moving them to create a better fan experience, etc. So they continued to protest, and this was during minutes before a staged protest where people were going to come out and go to the stadium, and there was going to be a mass kneeling event. This was minutes before they weren't allowed to go into the stadium at all, and they were kept outside of the stadium as the anthem played, and they knelt outside the stadium. This was the chancellor, as I highlight, just reiterating that the First Amendment provides you the privilege to protest, and I won't deny you that right. We go through, and then we find out that the chancellor's actually working behind the scenes to make sure this isn't happening. There's a local military group organizer. He does stuff with veterans. Emailed him asking if the cheerleaders that had protested would be attendance at another game. And then that was against, kind of moving into football, against the North Carolina A&T Aggies. And he says, I believe we have it worked out, so the cheerleaders are not on the field or in the arena during the national anthem. The new procedure worked this past week with women's basketball. This weekend will be the final test for football and men's basketball, which will go forward. So they were kept out of sight. And then a player from North Carolina A&T knelt during the anthem, and then people from the crowd started screaming at them. So this is something that culturally has really sparked in Southern Illinois, these kind of tense racial relations. And it's something that the university isn't new to. Historically, in the 70s, National Guard individuals were deployed when there was mass protests at the university over race relations as well. So we transitioned into basketball. They're kept off of the court where they had been historically into these like back hallways where no one can see them. I like hear about this, I go, I take the picture, and then like the next time I go, I knew they were going to be at the same spot, try to get the same picture, and then the athletic spokesperson physically stops me, says, "Where are you going?" And when I said, "I'm just going to go do my job, I'm taking pictures," and he goes, "No, you're not. That's athletes only." And I said, "When has that been the rule?" He said, "Since always." So there's been this like physical and kind of behind the scenes effort to censor our coverage of this because it had picked up regional and national attention. So I do an op-ed piece on it. It goes, "Athletics is mad." Oh well. So that continues for the rest of the season. As the speaker said yesterday, with these things, until there's like a major development, you just kind of leave them after initial reporting. The cheerleaders get an award from the local NAACP chapter. The Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs says, quote, "The 3 young ladies were recognized for their courage in standing up for what they believe in. This is foundational to everything we believe in as a society and as an institution." Oh, if it only were that easy. So the summer goes. We had like launched this basically year-long investigation on what was going on behind the scenes. And this consultant report that had been vaguely mentioned that we really didn't know the existence of was kind of the key to all of this, along with correspondence that we had received through FOIA. So we received the consultant report that has no mention of the cheerleaders and their positioning. They would not give us the findings or the final like receipts for what they paid this firm based out of the East Coast to come in and do all of this stuff. So we went in a 6-month roughly battle back and forth with the Illinois Public Access Counselor and trying to get the documents. We were unsuccessful with the entire university's legal team in our tiny paper, but there was enough there to paint the picture that, this is what's going on. So fast forward to the start of the school year, I had been in contact with these cheerleaders, and come to find out of the 3 that protested, only 1 was returning to the squad. One of them had dropped out completely. Another one had chosen or had not been let on the squad for whatever reasons. So I get the roster, I do a story, I kind of aggregate all of our findings that I had gone through the summer on what was going on. And they decided during all of this to try to put forward a new addition to the Student Code of Conduct that would ban any type of activism for student athletes or anyone related with athletics. So our cheerleaders are not considered student athletes. They are not on scholarship. We've had a lot of people during our reporting process reach out, take away their scholarships, this and that. Well, they aren't on scholarship. They can get some money at the end if the coach thinks that they were involved enough, etc., but it's not the same thing. So there was this policy put in place basically banning them, and then this is what the new executive women's athletic director or whatever said regarding that. Of course, there's an ad.
We've got a great new line of hardwood here made by Mulligan right USA. Comes in solid and engineered. The finish is guaranteed for life.
If anybody needs flooring,
steamer, you can come to us or we'll come to you. And it comes at a competitive price.
Okay.
New at 6, the Southern Illinois University Athletics Department Associate Athletics Director Liz Jarnigan told me that it doesn't matter what the political issue is, it doesn't belong on the field.
So what we're saying is, with regard to any political issue, we're taking neither a for or against stance when we're wearing the colors and representing Saluki athletics.
Jarnigan says their goal is not to violate anyone's rights, but to create a feeling of inclusion for all people.
The purpose here is about unity and forward progress and respect and dignity for everyone, and that we do support all of our student athletes and whatever their passions.
But Bradshaw says she doesn't believe this idea will be helpful for the university's problems.
well, that later goes on into more. You can look that up, or I could give you that link. Sorry. So we go and we break the story, local news and other people pick it up. And then there's an outstanding outcry from the public, from regional, national organizations. The ACLU gets involved, and they release this statement that says Southern Illinois University's new policy suggesting players or cheerleaders could be removed from their respective program for peacefully displays of activism falls short of the critical responsibility of a public university to honor and protect free speech and of their students. The full text of the policy is a few paragraphs long, basically says they're not allowed to protest or show any signs of activism, and if they do, they could get removed from their squad or their team, whatever that may be. So we published that. ACLU got involved, some First Amendment people got involved, the FIRE organization out of the East Coast, which is defending freedom of speech, also got involved, and then they went and rescinded the policy, saying it quite didn't hit the bar. Then the athletic director said that we had reported unfairly about the entire situation and that we were on a witch hunt. So that's pretty much what happened. The two cheerleaders aren't at the university, or well, the one isn't on the squad, and the one has chosen to stop kneeling because she says, I've gotten my point across. So now before any sporting event, they have like a little message that says, Southern Illinois University believes about social justice and standing up for what you believe in, yada, yada, yada. So that's their contribution to try to tackle these issues. So that's it. And then this is my contact information. If you have any questions, stuff after or at some point, feel free and reach out. So, yeah.